Today, I want to encourage you again to wait in silence before the Lord and receive with patience what He has prepared for us. Because what He has prepared for us is the best for us. When the Lord led the Israel out of the land of Egypt through the wilderness before leading them into the land flowing with milk and honey, God set boundaries for each tribe and had instructed Joshua to hand it over as instructed. But two and a half of the tribes, who had many cattle, wanted to remain there in Gilead and not to go over Jordan into the promised land. They came to Moses and said, "Look, we know that God's inheritance for us is on the other side of the Jordan, but we don't actually want that. What we want is what we see here. This land is really good for our earthly business, which is grazing stock. We don't want what God has got for us on the other side of Jordan. We want this area that we see here." Numbers 32, verses 1 to 5. So here you see a separation taking place, one group interested in God's blessings towards them, while the other interested only in their earthly lot. It's amazing to think, after hearing about the land flowing with milk and honey for 40 years and all of the good things that God had stored for them within the land of Canaan, that this group could settle for something less. What do these two and a half tribes speak to us today? These are what the New Testament calls carnal or worldly believers. They are border dwellers. They're not in the land, but they're not out of it, just on the border. In Numbers 32, verse 5, it says, "If we have found favor in your sight, let this land be given to your servants as a possession. Do not take us over Jordan." These tribes had much livestock, and that's what governed their heart. It is a pull of the world. Like the saying goes, the more you earn, the more it owns you. These tribes are like carnal believers who have a measure of faith, but they don't want all that God has prepared for them. No, they want to do God's perfect will concerning them. What happened to them in the end? In First Chronicles 5, from verse 18 down, when you read, it says they had got a lot of men, they got strong. Verse 21, they got lots of goods and they increased their land. But when it comes to verse 25, we read, "But they were unfaithful to God their fathers and prostituted themselves to the gods of the people of the land whom God had destroyed before them." These were the first ones to commit adultery and were actually taken away as captives into Assyria. Do you know, in the New Testament, we find remnants of these tribes in the land of Gadarenes? What were they doing? They were pig raisers. When Jesus goes there, he delivers the man who was possessed with a legion of demons. But the people in the land did not receive him because their earthly lot had been destroyed. Nearly 200 pigs had run down the hillside into the water and got drowned. So, dear believer, it's important that we remain faithful and learn to seek and walk in God's will, unlike these two and a half tribes, to receive what God has prepared. Hebrews 11:40 reads, "God has prepared better for us." Like the Old Testament saints, let us by faith become victorious over our present circumstances and learn to seek His will. Let's walk as He walked. Be blessed.